I've been reading books that I hate. How about you?
You hate? Why?
I don't know. I started reading. I told you last time you were here when we had our master class.
Masterclass.
Because Walter Mosley's master class, actually. I will get to that later. I've been reading Yukio Mishima's The Frolic of the Beast.
Oh, yeah. You were telling me you haven't been enjoying that.
I just started reading it because I just wanted like a nice little short transition book between something long and then something long again. And I thought it'd be fine. I like Yukio Mishima. It's fucking, I don't know, it's boring. Though I did get to a part where some guy clubbed another guy ahead with a wrench, and then he gets out of jail, and now he's seeing him again, and the guy's like, oh, fucking special, and I'm just like, I don't really care what's going on.
How much more do you have left?
Like 100 pages.
Ooh.
It's like a page a day for me. It's bad. It really halted my reading. I actually got a book of Irish poems from Barnes & Noble, and I'm like halfway through that, and I just got that 2 days ago. And then it's like, I'd rather read that in like large quantities than the Yukio Mishima book, which is sad. But you've been reading books that you like.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Mm-hmm. For the most part, yeah, they've all been pretty good so far. Pretty good.
No elaboration. No titles for the folks who might be interested.
Well, I mean, that's why I don't want to spoil anything for the end of the year episode.
Next year?
Well, no, the end of this year, when we do the what we read this year episode in 12, in
11 months.
11 and a half months.
Okay. Well, that is excellent.
Well, one of them we'll be talking about here shortly.
Yeah. You really just never going to talk about your books anymore on air? You're just going to wait until we go to the end of the year episode? Keep it a mystery?
Yeah, keep them in suspense.
Turns out Spencer went hardcore erotica this year.
That's why he didn't want to tell nobody.
Bigfoot erotica.
He was embarrassed.
He finally got around to reading that novel about the guy who falls in love and has sex with the airplane.
Yeah.
We'll talk about some Walter Mosley here after these sweet messages. I was going to bring up some songs that I found for the new intro music, but I did not research songs, so that's not going to happen. So next time. Well, we'll do that off air. We'll come up with something for the new, because we're like, got to be close to 100 now.
Yeah.
We'll be on like 98.
We've been this issue, or this episode's not going to count, right?
This is a Book of the Month episode.
Yeah, so we keep on doing shit like that. They keep on holding
Book of the Month episode, IRC episode, DBS 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're like 70 DBS episodes in now, too. We'll have to do like a special 100 DBS episode.
Next month, Book of the Month Club book.
Book of the Month Club. Ah, jeez. You are listening to the Drunken Pen Writing Podcast. I'm your host. You fucking jerk. You hit the microphone stand. Why would you do that?
I didn't hit the microphone stand.
I heard it. I could play it back for you.
I dropped the phone on the table.
Even louder. I'm your host, Caleb James. With me, as always, unfortunately, today, he is Spencer. You know what? No, I'm not going to go that route.
No.
Spencer, the Compton Crime Crusader Church.
Ooh.
There you go.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a cuck today. He was going to be the Cairo cuck, but a lot of this episode, well, the episode doesn't take place in L.A., but the story we're talking about does. We read Devil in a Blue Dress by Walter Mosley, and I really, really enjoyed this book.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well.
We started because I was watching the Mosley Masterclass, and then old Spencer came over and started watching the Mosley Masterclass, and then we're like, hey, because he reads some excerpts from I guess that's his first book, right?
Yeah, that was his first book that he did.
So he started reading some excerpts from it and stuff. We're like, hey, this sounds pretty groovy. So we checked it out because we like noir now. We're crime noir guys. Because we read some Chandler and only one Chandler actually, but I definitely got some Chandler feeling in this book. This is I guess we should probably cover Walter Mosley a bit because he's like one of those authors where while he sells a lot of work, I feel like outside of like his fan base, people probably don't know him that much. Because I'd never heard of him really before I saw him on Masterclass.
Now, how are we just gonna do like a light thing, or because we were also talking? Remember before we were talking about maybe doing a Mosley episode like on his writing, like, you know what I mean?
I don't know.
I didn't know how far we went, how much we wanted to,
Let's work.
It's work.
I don't think we need to take a deep dive.
Deep? No?
No.
Okay.
Shallow dive.
No,
Shallow walk in the...
Oh, no, I just wanted to make sure I know what we were. The aim was, the goal.
Whatever you say. Whatever you say, buddy.
5.
5?
Yeah.
What's 5?
The answer to everything.
It's 42, not 5. You didn't read the Hitchhiker. Oh, you didn't read the Hitchhiker's Guide because you're a fucking douche. Sorry, that's harsh. You should read the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's great. The first 2 books.
And say even after the guy had to finish it.
I stopped reading after, I started reading the 3rd book and quit halfway through, and I just never read the rest. So I think there's 4 actually, but the first 2, very good, very good, very good. So Walter Mosley, he is a California writer. He's an interesting man. He's a black Jewish man, but he's not religious, as a master class has taught us.
Yeah.
But his mother was Jewish, and his father, I think she was a Russian Jew too, as well. She came from, I don't know if she came from Russia. Let me look. Her ancestors immigrated from Russia, but she wasn't from Russia. And his dad, Leroy Mosley, he was an African-American from Louisiana. And then Walter Mosley, without having to go through all this, he has an interesting story because he was kind of, not necessarily a hippie, but he hung around with all kinds of people, traveled the country. At one point, he became I think a computer programmer or something along those lines. And then he, at 34 years old, just decided, hey, I'm going to try my hand at writing just because. And it turns out he was good at it, got published, and makes it seem like it's so damn easy.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, just write it.
Just write it. I would highly recommend people check out his masterclass. So I thought that was really good. I need to bring up...
Except his take on poems.
You didn't like his take on poems?
You didn't like his take on poems.
Why do you guys say I didn't like it? You don't know what I like.
Because
Don't speak for me, buddy.
Because the sounds and angry things you were saying at the poems he read.
I didn't care for the poems he read.
So therefore you don't like his take on poems.
Oh, here's a picture of him with a beard. I think he should always go beard.
Yeah, he definitely should always go beard.
Changes the whole look. He got like a Garth Brooks looking thing going on there.
Especially with that hat.
Well, he is wearing a cowboy hat. I'm just on the Devil in a Blue Dress Wikipedia, and has a picture of Walter. That's from 2007. He must have been in his sexual prime in 2007 looking like that. So, Devil in the Blue Dress. Set in 1948, the story begins in the Watts area of Los Angeles. I liked how this story was 1940s Compton, Watts, that area, because all I know from that is Boys in the Hood and NWA and just all the things I grew up with, the gangster rap and West Coast stuff. So I've never seen Compton in a positive light or Watts or any of that. So it's interesting to see or read about characters living in that area in the 40s, because California was vastly different in the 40s.
Yeah, right.
And I just really like the whole California scene in the 40s because as much as I like Chandler's work, when we read The Big Sleep, that was, I think, maybe the 20s or 30s that took place in, but that was almost a different California. I think it was Northern California, some of it took place in, but it was just everything's a desert.
Well, also, too, you got to figure we did kind of see a different side of California in this book, with it, mainly having an African-American, cast of characters. And, just the things that they did and how their lives were.
What I liked is Mosley didn't focus on, Chandler did in The Big Sleep. Mosley didn't focus on the weather and, because that was the plot of The Big Sleep was, there was somebody who was stealing water. And then, it was still a desert town and stuff. But I feel like a lot of California noir from back in the day talked about that kind of stuff. But Mosley didn't matter. It was just about the characters and the neighborhoods and stuff, which I thought was really cool. So we're in Watts in Los Angeles, and we are with Ezekiel Easy Rollins, which is just such a great name.
Yeah.
Easy Rollins has got to be one of the best character names I've ever heard.
And then whenever you just find out that Easy is just short for Ezekiel, that's fucking awesome.
I liked all his character names in here. He had Mouse. I think the trumpet player's name was Lips.
Yeah.
He just such great names. So Easy Rollins, he's a Houstonian from the city's 5th Ward. He at the beginning of the book, he's jobless. He worked at an aviation defense plant in Los Angeles. I think it was called Champion, building airplanes. So apparently, very good job. Yeah. He made enough there where he was able to buy a house in his own property. And in 1940s, for an African American to be able to do such a thing was it's a big deal.
Well, he was in the war too.
Yeah, he's a World War II hero.
Sure, I am how like people who serve, they get after they serve so long they get
like a pension or
yeah.
something.
I don't know what it was like back then. I'm sure whatever it was.
I don't think they got anything.
Probably, especially also being African American too.
They treated them like shit.
Yeah, but so I don't know if he got anything.
Like you fight for your country and then you come back and you're segregated.
Yeah.
Well, in the war, a lot of them were segregated, which I think he actually brought up in this book too. So anyway, so Easy Rawlins, he ends up he got fired from his company for some bullshit reason.
Yeah.
And then we open up. He's in a a bar, Joppy's bar, his buddy Joppy, because he's unable to pay his mortgage. This is the driving force of the story because he has to pay this mortgage because he doesn't like that's his slice of paradise is that house. It's just a small like 1-bedroom house, but like that's everything to him. He does not want to lose that.
It's like the first and only thing that he's like ever owned.
Yeah, and the way Mosley tells it, which definitely was true back then, but it's kind of true now, even in a lot of places like Compton and stuff. You don't pay your mortgage like back then. They'll have the sheriff there, the next day after your mortgage was due to take your house and all that shit. Like back then, that's like something that they really did because I wouldn't say squatters, but times were hard, so people weren't paying on time. They probably just assumed that. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of racism going on, but they probably just assumed it was like, oh, they're not gonna pay. Fuck it, just take it. We can resell it and we'll be crooks. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
So they did a lot of that. So we open up Easy sitting in a bar run by Joppy, a friend who's also from Houston, when a man named DeWitt Albright walks into the bar. And this is like a cool cat.
But Joppy is also an ex-boxer.
Oh, yeah.
So
He does some slugging. I'll stop at some point when I'm reading this because I don't want to give up the ending here. What ends up happening is Joppy knows Easy is having trouble, because he doesn't have a job. He's not going to be able to pay his mortgage. I'm going to throw him a bone. I got this DeWitt Albright guy. He's looking for somebody to do a job for him. He calls Easy over. Hey, come on over here. I got something for you. But Joppy's very nervous. And Joppy could knock the fuck out of anybody. So the fact that he's nervous around this white man is a little strange.
You notice how he was always wearing like all white?
Yeah.
To just emphasize the whiteness.
The whiteness. White devil. So I think he initially turns down the job because like all the guy wants him to do is find somebody. Doesn't really elaborate. But then Easy, because of the mortgage and stuff, he needs that money. He ends up taking the job. And then he goes to find Daphne Monet, the most beautiful woman ever mentioned in the world at the time, at least to Easy and everyone who sees her in the LA area. And then what unfolds is a pretty fun mystery. It's I'm sure a lot of people know the ending now if they saw it because there's a Denzel Washington movie and stuff. But the ending's pretty cool. It's like a good little twist. And some of it's a little disturbing.
What I liked is because sometimes when you get to these detective stories or just like mysteries in general, is like it can get very convoluted. Like, you know what I mean? But this wasn't. Like, you know what I mean? Like all the storylines like made sense and were straight. It wasn't like, it wasn't telegraphed or anything. There was still like twists and turns, but like they were all made sense. Like there wasn't any what was that? Like, how sometimes you can kind of get when you fall into that genre. Well,
I like how Easy is very reluctant to do this kind of work. And because
that also made him very relatable because it was still like of just like I don't want to do this, but this is the only way I can make money.
Yeah, and he's killed a lot of people in the war, and there's a lot of like PTSD kind of flashbacks without being that, if that makes sense. It's like he like these things kind of weigh heavy on him, but it's just who he is. So because there's many times where he's mentioned, I killed a man before, and I can do it again easily, but I'm not going to. In certain situations he finds himself in.
Yeah, because you figure by the time that the book was written, PTSD wasn't even still like a bit. It was just kind of starting to get like traction. I think it was like a thing that happens to soldiers, and then especially in that time period where the story takes place.
And black soldiers, they didn't give a shit about, so you're not getting any kind of mental help for your problems. But this whole story is full of violent characters. I think everybody's very violent, and there's a lot of drinking. I love the club scenes and the bar scenes where he goes into like these kind of speakeasies because it's after Prohibition, but some of the places just don't want to pay for the liquor license, so they still run as a speakeasy.
And I'm sure there's that thing of like, even nowadays, wouldn't you rather go into a bar that was like in a hidden room in
Yeah,
the back
it's just
of a
cool.
building or something. You know what I mean? Like that's just fun.
Like the one main bar he goes to is
Well, no, so too, they're mostly black bars, so they probably still also kind of have to stay kind of hidden.
Well, one of the coolest bars he frequents is because I think there's another one, because you have Joppy's bar, which is a shithole. It's like in a butcher building or something.
Yeah.
It stinks like rotted meat all the time.
And then there's the main
There's the main one where it's the Speakeasy bar. I forget the name of it, but it's like a back of a grocery store. And then you go in, and that's where the trumpet players are, and everybody hangs out and stuff. And then there's another bar where it's just like the most violent criminals go to, which I love when he goes to that bar as well, because that's where he gets what's that guy's name? Frankie or Freddie or the guy with the knife?
Yeah,
he's real good at cutting folks.
Yeah, it was Frank something.
Yeah, I really just like the depiction of how you have this whole African American community who kind of has to fly under the radar just because of the social standards of the time. And even though like a lot of them have honest jobs, they still go to the speakeasies and have the illegal liquor and shit like that. I thought that was fun. And they're just like partying, just living life, you know? A lot of jazz age kind of stuff I really dug. And then Easy, he has his friend Mouse who lives in Houston. And throughout the story, you get these flashbacks where he's talking to Mouse and like what he's done with them. And Mouse is like a stone cold killer. Yeah. He's a little guy who just kills for fun. He'll kill anybody. He'll kill Easy if for the price is right.
Well, you might not because you haven't watched it, but there's a character in The Wire called Omar. And he's just basically like this guy. He's basically like a drug bandit. He goes around robbing corners and stuff like that. But I got as I was reading reading this character Mouse, I was getting that feeling. Even though this was written way before that.
Well, we need to watch the movie with Denzel Washington because Mouse is played by Don Cheadle. And I watched a couple clips and he does like a real good job. It's just such a cool story. And I was really wondering will we start to notice if we look at like different like black movies and different black fiction, if they've taken from Mosley's work, if some of these ideas were implemented, because his crime noir, which I love, is not just having an African American protagonist, but you have like all the characters, the cities, like the whole city of LA where they're at, it's just all black people. And the white people are the outsiders. The white people are written like how black people are normally written in white crime noir. Whereas it's just like, oh, there's that random white guy. And we don't quite understand them because we don't have interactions with white people that often. And the ones we do, it's usually very like nervous and weird energy and we don't know how to act. I love that because normally it's flipped. It's like you have the black guy who's the janitor, who's the magical janitor that helps or something. Or you have like the criminal character or just like these random characters, but now it's the white people that get to be those characters. And then you kind of get to view what life is like from the other perspective that we didn't live with, and then just obviously 1940s LA is cool as shit. So I'm really looking forward to reading more books in the series.
Yeah, I definitely think I'm going to check
I'm going to try to read 3. I don't know how many there are, but I figure 3 a year would be good.
I think there's 15 total, which one just came out recently, so he's still doing them.
It's so easy to read these books. Like, they're just such good, quick reads, too.
Especially, too, like I said, I don't know about you, but I think I'm just going to start getting them on my Kindle.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't I feel like some things when I read it on my Kindle, I'm going through it quicker. I don't know why it feels like that. I don't know if it's just because you get the percentage or page counter thing.
Makes you just want to hit a certain. Yeah, I'm almost at 15%. I might as well just wait till I get there. You know, I only got 3 minutes left in the chapter. I'll just read out. Finish the chapter.
So I'm definitely looking forward to checking out more and seeing because we were.
I saw that ebook collection. It was Kindle collection. It was $130 for all of them or something.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to do all that at once. You know what I mean? If I just want to buy a couple at a time, But because one of our questions we had earlier when we were watching some videos about the book as well to make sure we didn't miss anything is that a guy said that they move along in time. You know what I mean? So that was one of my
you get to see starting 40s LA, we get to move
with the times almost. So
and do the flashbacks in the story. You also get the 30s and Easy's time in the war and stuff like that. And like I really liked Walter Mosley's writing style too. He has like a very sultry writing style. I like his use of metaphors and similes. The one thing I mentioned off air, I noticed when I was reading that there was at least 3 or 4 times where Easy gets clubbed in the head from behind, and there's always an explosion that goes off in his head, and then all of a sudden he's on the ground. It's like that same imagery came up multiple times.
Well, the maybe that's because of in the time period, people weren't as wordy back then as they are now, so you only had a few phrases. So maybe he was just trying to stick in with the time. The one complaint I do, just to make sure that it's not a complete love fest. The one thing, and it wasn't even like a thing that would like it made the book bad or anything. It's just like one of those things after a while, and we've talked about it before. It's like, who like this story? Like, is he telling somebody this story? Is it like, you know what I mean? Because it's like written in first person. Yeah. So it's like
him and it's from the future, him telling the story because he talks about like there's a lot of mentions where I don't know. Say there was a liquor, cigarette. We'll use a cigarette brand. You'd be like, oh, well, that cigarette brand's not around anymore. Like he'll actually say that in the book. Like he'll say something that goes, oh, so is he current time? Like I don't know where. We'll have to read the future stories. Maybe that clears that up. But
I was thinking that
we don't know where this story, like him telling it, takes place. Like what time period he's actually in as he tells the story.
But like I said, it didn't really. He did such a good job. It didn't really take me out of the story really, or made me not enjoy it.
You didn't know if he's like, is it memoirs? Is the guy writing a book?
And all you'd have to really do is just put like in the beginning of the book, case log, number, whatever, and then boom, it's fixed. So like you said, it might be something because he probably wasn't expecting this to be a long series when he was writing it. So.
Well, when he would speak about like how things aren't like that anymore or things like that, I almost got like that was 100% Mosley's voice I heard when he would do that.
Yeah.
So if he was talking about like, the housing market back then was a lot more affordable than it is now. Like I was like, that's probably just Mosley then, right? Like I don't know who or what period of time Easy's in when he's telling us this, but I didn't have too many complaints. There were a few parts where the writing got a little muddled where I was like, what? Wait, what's happening? Yeah. Like there was just a few, it was a lot of like when there would be a lot of action and the descriptors like kind of piled on each other, and I would just be like, wait, what the fuck just happened? That wasn't very frequent enough for me to really knock off a point. It just that it did happen a couple times, usually when I was tired and not like, too focused.
Yeah, paying full attention.
And then it kind of had, I don't know, you probably never seen Jack Nicholson's Chinatown, but did you?
Mm-hmm. Well, Chinatown and...
Well, we just stick with Chinatown.
But I was just trying to think what the sequel was.
I don't remember if there was a sequel, but in Chinatown, the big twist ending is like an incest story.
Yeah.
Well, that's not like a big twist ending on here necessarily, but there is an incest story that works its way into the very end, and I'm like, ew. I did not hear for that part. But at the same time, back then, I feel like that was, well, I mean, even now it's kind of common, which is disgusting, but back then, that would be something that would happen that wouldn't be told to the authorities or anything.
Well, there was like a lot of the, like, whenever we were talking about the book a couple of days ago, like, there was a weird sex scene. And there was also
though that was a very realistic sex scene. I felt like the way it unfurls, it was just gross because there's like a scene where the girl just uses the bathroom while he's in the tub, and it's very loud, and like he even says it's like man taking a leak. I was like, ew. And then I was like, they better not have sex right after this, and they did, and I was like, ah.
And there's also like a thing that involves like a little like Mexican boy.
That was very disturbing. It was the mayor. Easy gets pulled into the fucking like limo or something of the mayor, and he has a filthy little Mexican boy who's like at his feet.
Yeah. It was the guy who was running for mayor. He was. I think he had like mafia ties.
He wasn't. He was trying to become the mayor, I think. And he was a diddler, and there were scenes where he's openly diddling, and I'm just like, oh, what the fuck? Though they did save that kid.
Yes.
At the end, which I really appreciated, with another cool character who runs like a really nice inn in a ghetto. Like I think it's a brothel, isn't it? Easy goes to a brothel at one point. And I love how all the bouncers at these places are like the biggest most violent scumbags.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially back then, if you was gonna have a bouncer, that's like that qualification that you would need.
Mm-hmm. So all in all, I gave this a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I'd say 4 is a good.
I really liked it. Book of the month material for sure. I was glad we read it because we wanted to read something. I don't remember what we did last year for Black History Month. We normally try to do something, but I wanted to read something that was actually going to be kind of fun because I feel like a lot of times when we get into black fiction, it always ends up like really depressing. And I'm just like, what? Like I mean, crime noir is a fun genre anyway, but like even like something like be whimsical or
and also something kind of current.
Yeah, I wanted something more current, not a classic. Because what's the problem? Anytime we read classics, it's like fucking depressing. So I didn't really want to read something that's gonna be about slavery or something. I want something that had black characters in a positive light.
I was thinking about this the other day. We do pretty well a lot of times when we just like kind of pick a book by whim. You know what I mean? That we picked this book because we happened to find Walter Mosley on Masterclass and was liking the stuff he said, and so we got his first book. Years ago we were doing an article list and we came across The Hike, and that's still one of my favorite books in the past couple of years. You know what I mean? And I think, and there's been some other ones where we just
stumble across the book and that's the one, and it ends up being great. Because we definitely, at least a handful of times a year, try to give a author we never even heard of a read. Well, I mean, just because of our limited knowledge of modern authors, like usually it's a well-known author that we don't know.
Yeah, or if they might be, we might know them, or but have never checked out any of their work.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, like Norm Macdonald's book, that was really good. I want to check out one of David Duchovny's books.
Yeah, we've been talking about that for a while now.
I was looking up James Franco. Apparently his books are fucking awful, so I don't think we need to go down that road.
And also, too, I think he's probably still a non-grado.
Yeah. So we'll end on this. Personally, I feel I would like Mosley's Easy Rollins series more than I would like Philip Marlowe, like the Raymond Chandler series.
Yeah.
Or any of those old white guy fiction things. Because I always tended to lean more towards like cool black characters. Even like the Grand Theft Auto games. Like my favorite one was Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Yeah. Because that's the time when I grew up was like the early 90s with the West Coast hip hop and like I watched Boys in the Hood and like Don't Be a Menace and like all those fucking cool movies were like those John Singleton movies were ingrained in me when I was like fucking 9 years old. Like I probably shouldn't have been watching them, but so I just grew up like loving that that side of life. I always thought was really interesting. So reading a character in a crime noir series who lives in that area and fights crime, well not fights crime, but solves mysteries and stuff there, I think that's really cool. I really like that, opposed to like Philip Marlowe solving rich guy crimes, you know?
Well, and also too, just Mosley's writing style.
It's very accessible,
and it's very flowing, and it's very like I kind of get the same feeling of whenever I'm reading like a good Neil Gaiman book.
Yeah,
like it's almost like effortless. Like I'm just.
Well, in that masterclass when Mosley was talking about poetry and stuff. Well, I don't agree with the poems he was reading necessarily as poems I would like. I can see how his style is influenced by poetry because, like you said, it does flow. The way he uses certain words in correlation with other words, it's like, oh, that's, he likes his paragraphs to flow in a certain way. He likes the story to flow. So I like that.
And he also is like, if a chapter might be like 2 or 3 pages long.
Yeah.
I
felt like the chapters were just as long as they needed to be.
Oh, yeah. And I think it helped kind of move.
His pacing was good.
Yeah.
I never once felt like, oh, this chapter could be cut. It's going on too long, or this chapter's not long enough. He did a very good job at just spacing everything out properly. Again, I'm going to be very interested to see how the other books go. Like, do they flow in the same kind of pattern? And then I just want to see how Easy Rollins comes up, because it didn't say his age, I don't think, but I'm assuming he was in his 20s, maybe?
Let's say,
late 20s?
Did you have, like, a picture of Easy, like, while you were reading? Like, did you have your own?
Yeah, Buff Denzel Washington.
Oh, is that what it was? Is that who you?
No, I kind of got Eddie Murphy in Harlem Nights.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. That's kind of the image I got, like, because Eddie Murphy was in like okay shape, and he was because I've seen some clips from the Denzel Washington version of the movie, and he got the white beater and he's kind of buff, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's the guy. But I don't know. What about you? Like,
I got like a younger, thinner version of
Kevin Hart, right?
Not Kevin Hart.
Dude, what if they did a reboot and he's Mouse?
And The Rock is Easy.
I don't think anyone would fuck with him.
What's his name? The Get Out director.
Jordan Peele?
Yeah. For some reason, I don't know why, but that was like the kind of, because he almost kind of had like when I was reading like unassuming kind of, like, you know what I mean? Like,
he was very reserved, and
like he could have easily killed, like there was a scene where he was, these like white teenagers were like trying
fucking
to get
with him, being
and
racist.
Like he could easily have killed them, but like didn't choose
which he even played out in his head that I can easily kill these, but it wouldn't be worth it. Yeah, he is very in his own head, which I liked. He's a unique character in that regard, and I like that he's not your typical like Philip Morrow, just knows the answers to everything, is the smooth talk. He's just like a regular guy that kind of went into this line of work, and his main skills are he could fuck people up.
Yeah.
But he knows when to be reserved, not unlike like Joppy or a lot of the different bouncers we encounter, or the knife guy, or even Mouse. Like, everyone he deals with just will kill you at the fucking drop of a hat, and he's the only one that can do that that's like reserved. Because he said he killed a lot of people in the war. He killed a lot of Germans, and which that brought a very interesting aspect to the book too, was like when it showed his times in Germany and how different it was than being in like the South in the U.S. at the time, because he's from Texas, so it's pretty wild. So, in summation, I really like this book, and I would urge anybody to read it. Obviously, if you are sensitive to strong language, a lot of racial situations, a lot of racism, this might not be the book for you, just because those are going to be themes that I would imagine most of Mosley's work deal with, because he says he likes to write black characters.
Yeah. And especially in this series set in this time frame and stuff like that, it's kind of hard not to.
But if you're a crime noir fan, I don't see how you could go, unless you're like a purist crime noir where you want like the 30s, you know, darn is the hardest swear. Maybe damn. Maybe they'll throw in a damn or a hell. That would be the hardest swear words you get. But if you want something that's reads modern, but, you know, is set back then, I would highly recommend Devil in the Blue Dress and go down the Easy Rollins path, because that's what I'm going to do. It was actually very hard for me not to order the next book and read that right after, because I kind of wanted to do that.
Did you read the
Yeah, I read some of it, but I stopped myself because then I would have ordered the book.
I told you, like, that's why, because I finished it before you, and I was like, I kind of want to read this, but I don't want to read this because I might not be able to stop.
Our next, I don't know if it's going to be the book of the month. I don't even know if we're going to do an episode on it or not, but Ashley read it, and he told me about it, and then I got it, and you got it, Gutter in the Grave.
Yeah.
Like I said, I really enjoyed that book, too. That's another crime noir. The author's name eludes me. He, because he wrote under a bunch of pseudonyms, actually, but he's pretty famous. He's one of those hard case. That's what it's published through.
Ed McBrien or something like that?
Ed McBain?
McBain, I think, yeah.
The only thing with that is, like I was telling you before, unlike like Easy Rollins and the characters, like I don't even remember that guy's name. I only read that a couple of months ago, and I forgot the whole story.
Yeah.
Like, whereas it was a fun story to read, it left nothing.
You read it like right at the end of the year.
Yeah, it didn't leave anything, like nothing on me. Like nothing was parted to me. Like no message. I don't remember the story. I don't remember the guy's name.
You know what it is just in case if we don't ever do the episode on this book, when I was thinking about it, what it is that book you buy at the airport, so you have something to read on the plane, and it's like it's enjoyable. It's not a slog to get through, but you'll probably be done with it by the time you're done with your plane, and then you could forget it after that, you know?
It's like any one of those recent Nicolas Cage action movies that you don't know about till you go on like Amazon Prime or something. Like, I didn't know he made 10 movies this year. And then like you might watch one and you go, that wasn't that bad, actually. You know, that was all right. That was fun. And then you forget everything you've ever, like, if you could see it again and wouldn't even remember watching it. It's like one of those. Like I said, it was a fun book, but I couldn't, and I know there's more. Matt Cordell, maybe, was the name of the character.
Yes, Matt Cordell.
I think it's a series.
I don't know about that. I'm not sure.
I would have to look up that Ed McBain guy's books, but like those are. When you think of like B or C list level crime noir and hard crime fiction, that's exactly what that is. Yeah. That's just meant to be an old pulp read. You read it once, you throw it in the garbage. You bought it for a quarter. Like that's what it's supposed to mimic. Which it does that very well.
Yeah, and very tiny book could literally fit in your back pocket while you're riding on your bike.
What do they call those before? Supermarket books.
But yeah,
like you just get on that little rack in the spinner rack of the supermarket.
And it's like you said, like it's probably like people who like his you see people in different things, and like there's like hardcore like mystery crime noir fans where like they're probably be like, well, no, actually this book is like, you know what I mean? They probably might get a little bit more out of it because like that's their jam.
I remember liking the descriptions and stuff in it. That guy did a very good job with that. It's just, I think like a Raymond Chandler and a Walter Mosley are a higher level literary wise. Like just their writing style, they're just like a step above. I feel like the Gutter and the Grave's a book we could write. It wasn't very complicated. I don't remember the story or the mystery being that hard to solve.
Yeah, because we won't talk about it, but I think I kind of a couple of chapters in towards the end, I was like, I think I know.
I think I got it. Yeah, check out the old Walter Mosley and check out his masterclass.
Yes, because they're not only are they informational, but they're also like entertaining.
So far, I've struck gold with the masterclass because I first watched the Neil Gaiman. Obviously, that's a home run.
Yeah.
I watched the Salman Rushdie, also a home run. That was a brilliant one. And then I watched the Walter Mosley, which was really entertaining and informative. So I don't know who R.L. Stein's on my list. Might check out his.
Yeah, that'd be interesting just to see what his process is like.
There's a James Patterson one which I did not want to watch, but apparently it's really from what people I've heard that because I asked on the old Twitter and stuff, people thought of it, and apparently marketing wise and stuff, it's very good. Like how to sell your books.
I could see that.
So that might actually be worth the watch just for that, not for writing tips.
Yeah, just how to.
Who else did we see on there? I thought there was someone else that. There was one other person I wanted to fucking see. I don't remember who it was, but it doesn't really matter. I got. Oh, by the way, I guess I don't remember if I announced this on air or not. I was a part of the Joy Harjo's masterclass. What do you call that? Like a focus group, I guess?
That's how you made it sound.
I watched her whole masterclass uncut and very lightly edited. And when I mean lightly edited, they just added a few graphics. So there was a lot of, stumbling, and it wasn't like, cut real nice.
It wasn't probably the finished project.
Not even close. I got to be a part of that and give my critiques and stuff and what I thought of. It's a poetry writing class. And that finally dropped a masterclass now. I think it's been like a year. But I got a free masterclass from doing that. So I was very excited about that. So that's why I still have masterclass, because they've been putting some bogus people in there. Like, I don't give a fuck about Hillary Clinton teaching me about leadership.
Yeah, like, how's that? I mean...
Yeah. I think fucking... Who else did they had some other fucking... I think Bill Clinton's on there too. I don't know. They just had some people that I was like, I don't think I need to listen to this. I don't know if that's going to help. Like, are they going to get, like, Trump on there next to be, like, teach you how to, I don't know what the fuck I guess how to go bankrupt and be a fucking douche. Anyway, so if you folks want to check out our work, that's equally as equal quality as anything any person on Masterclass has ever written, right?
Yes.
You go to drunkenpenwriting.com for that. We have fiction on there. You can go to Twitter at drunkenpenwriting and Instagram and Facebook at drunkenpenwriting. Give us a follow, like, share, all that dumb shit. And we thank you for listening. And check out Devil in a Blue Dress. You'll really thank us for it. I would hope so anyway, unless you got shitty taste in books.
Oh.